now we're going to make our ice cubes. So in order to make ice cubes, you need an ice cube tray. This one happens to have smiley faces on it, which makes me happy just looking at them. And then I'm going to be adding some objects from nature, which you don't have to do. You can just make regular ice cubes. And we'll need some water and a sponge, and the sponge is to dry any spills. So we're going to start off by putting the objects into our ice cube tray, and I'm going to make a pattern. So I'm going to start with an acorn cap, pine cone. What's next? Okay, so now our ice cube tray is filled with our nature, and we're going to carefully pour our water into the tray. Okay, I don't see any spills, so we don't need the sponge. But I do have some extra water. So with this extra water, I am going to check and see if my olive tree, this is an olive tree, you can see it, and I'm going to check the soil to see if it's dry. I'm going to touch it with my hand, and it's actually very dry. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. That has been left over. Okay, and now that our ice cube tray is filled with our objects of nature and water, I am going to carefully bring this over to my freezer, and I am going to freeze the tray so that we can make ice cubes. Okay, so next we are going to be making some fishing poles using, again, some objects from nature. So I am going to start with a stick that I found. I'm going to take some little tiny elastics that I have at my house, and I'm going to put them on the stick just to give it a little bit of decoration. You can really use any objects and things that you have in your house. I just happen to have these handy. Then I am going to take some twine, my scissors, and I'm going to carefully cut the twine. And with this, I'm going to take the twine and I'm just going to tuck it under this little elastic. So now I've made a fishing pole. I'm going to make another one. And I'm going to use another stick that I found in nature. This time I'm going to wrap it with a pipe cleaner. Just going to twist it. And again, I'm going to make the fishing line. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut with my scissors. And I'm going to take the line and I'm just going to kind of put it like this around the pipe cleaner or underneath the pipe cleaner. And this is our second fishing pole. We're going to make one more. So this one, I'm going to use a pine cone. And I'm going to take one more piece of twine. I'm going to take the twine and I'm going to just kind of wrap it around the inside of the pine cone. And there we go. This is our third fishing rod. And if you don't have any objects in nature, you don't have to use them. You can just use, I'm using twine, but you can use thread, you can use different types of string, you can use all different things. This is just what I happen to have available at my house. Okay, now we are ready to go fishing. We have our ice cubes are now frozen. I'm going to take them out and put them on this plate. You can use anything you have at your house. Oh, and the other fun part is, I don't know if you can see, but they make a little smiley face on the outside. So we have our objects that we're going to be using to fish. Now we're going to take our fishing pole. And I was also thinking you could do whatever you wanted, but you could use paint if you wanted to paint your objects that you found in nature. Put pom-poms inside the pine cones. There's many things you can do. You can just be really creative. So I'm going to dip the fishing line into the water. I have a cup of water here. And then I'm going to lay it across one of my ice cubes. I'm going to hold on to it and I'm going to add just some table salt. Okay, now while we're waiting, we are going to sing a song. Some of you know the song and others can just follow along. Okay, are we ready? 40 years on an iceberg over the ocean blue. Nothing to wear but jammies, nothing to do but slide. The air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, over the ocean blue. Nothing to wear but jammies, nothing to do but slide. The air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, Nothing to wear but jammies, nothing to do but slide. The air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, nothing to do but slide. The air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Oh. Oh, 40 years on an iceberg over the ocean blue. Nothing to wear but jammies, nothing to do but slide. The air was cold and icy, the frost began to bite. I had to hug a polar bear to keep me warm at night. Okay, now we're ready to test it out and see if we caught an acorn or a pine cone. It worked. We caught an acorn cap. Okay, so that's the end of the activity. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I certainly had fun working on it. Again, you can make this as simple as possible. You can just use ice cubes that are in your freezer if you have an ice maker, or you can look around and see if you can find something to fill with water and put in the freezer to make ice cubes if you don't have an ice cube tray. So what comes to mind is like maybe a little yogurt container, like a plastic yogurt container. Once it's cleaned out, you can fill it with water, and then you can put it in the freezer and you can freeze it. It does take some time for the water to freeze, so just keep that in mind. And again, I hope you had fun, and I will talk to you soon. I'll be making some more videos. All right, bye.